we have a new report from SBM Intelligence on the state of Nigeria's roads. And the title, of course, is Roads to Nowhere. Let's listen to President Tinubu in his media chat, which was moderated by, of course, none other than our Dr. Abati. Here is he saying our roads are terrible.
What is the element of this borrowing? Capital project, our roads are terrible.
Stanley Ikechukwu, who is the head of operations at SBM Intelligence, joins us to discuss this report. Stanley Ikechukwu, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. The reports, I want to quickly start with some stats here, where you say that about 80-something% of respondents say that bad roads lead to higher transport fares. How does that work out in terms, I thought it was fuel that led to higher transport fares. How do bad roads lead to higher transport fares?
There's a whole lot of components around it, So fuel could also lead to high cost of transportation, but bad roads, when you have to move from one road to another that is not good, it means that you're spending more money on maybe your shock absorber. If you're going to change a new shock absorber now, it will take you back, say, 120,000 naira. And you're not even guaranteed that it will last you another 6 months. Time that you spend on the road again means that the drivers are going to increase the cost. Recently, the trip from, say, Berger to Ajah, because there was traffic and the road around that area too wasn't bad, they moved the price from 2,500 to 3,500 just because of bad road.
Makes sense.
So yeah, those are also part of the reasons why these things would.
Two stats that they're looking at. On the left-hand side, on the right, 49% of respondents say that the roads are causing them to have more maintenance on their vehicles. But then on the left, 18% said the bad roads are causing them to go to the mechanic more. I'm trying to square that. Can you square that for us?
Yeah, so the square there is the level of poverty.
Okay.
Yeah, so the 49% that say it's taking them to the mechanic, these are the people that can actually afford to go to the mechanic when their cars are faulty. But the difference there, that cannot go because at the moment they don't have that money. We did a research recently that shows that Nigeria spends 70% of their income on food, second to airtime, and third maybe transportation. So the 18% are those people that would go when the car is totally broken down and they don't have an option.
Now, another stat, you've got, I think there was a map with ports, right? You've got a map of Nigeria, you've got the Onne ports, and then Apapa and so on. What about the link between the ports and road congestion? There has to be, if you look at what's going on with Apapa, perfect, there's the map there. You've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 ports there at the bottom left in the southern part of the region. So what's the link between the two, as far as what the ports have contributed?
So there's a political view to it. Yeah. We might not go into it, but the economic view is that Lagos is the only active port that we have. The Onne port does more of petroleum products, while Lagos does more of goods and services. And from Lagos, it has to go through the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway down to the other parts of the country, cutting across the A1 road, A2, A3, and A4 road. So the congestion at the port means that before these goods come out on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, it's already blocked. So before these things can go down north, there's congestion everywhere. The port facilities on the other side have not been properly, there needs to be an upgrade, and there needs to be an expansion. We need to also see the Onne port and the Warri port come into fruition and work, so that people who are moving goods from, say, Onitsha businessmen and the ones in Aba can rather use the Port Harcourt ports or the Onne ports to bring in their goods rather than go through Lagos and go.
And that increases fares, like your first point.
Yeah, and also increases the cost of those goods and services.
All right, we got a survey you did, the type of vehicles that dominate the roads. Number 1 was buses, number 2 was cars, number 3 was trucks. What's the takeaway from that particular survey? Public transportation or what? Yeah, there you go. We extracted this from there. Huh?
The takeaway there is that the commercial bus drivers are actually the lifeline of commerce in Nigeria. They connect states, they connect cities, they connect villages, they connect communities. If you take them away, commerce will slump in Nigeria. So when we need to make certain type of policies, we need to actually bring in these people because they understand the road very well. They are always on the road. They know the connections. So when we want to make certain type of policies around road, we should also consult them to give us their insights.
There's no boats there. Your reports mentioned that Nigeria has not developed our waterways. Speak to us about that in terms of us being so dependent on roads, and that's why they're breaking down all the time. Well, what's the potential there with waterways? How far behind are we with the waterways?
We're actually very far. So let's look at it. The waterways actually has some infrastructural deficits there. There are not enough infrastructure. To move people on the water means that from time to time you need to dredge these waterways. Most of our rivers are shallow water, so from time to time you need to dredge it. There's also an environmental impact around it. Some of the waterways are where they dispose sewages and all of those things. So by the time you have to move commuters on the waterways, the waters are not good. It smells very bad, which has environmental and health effect on these people. There's also no incentive to invest in waterways because at the moment it's more expensive to go through water than to go through road. So a lot of people are not, making use of water. If you look at other climes, waterways is actually the cheapest.
Yeah.
But in this part of the world, it's more like
expensive.
very expensive because the demands are low. Again, security. There's a lot of insecurity on the waterways. Kidnapping is on the high on the waterways. If you go through, say, the Delta Creeks and the like, there was a kidnap that happened on Lekki waterways. That one of the CEOs of the company was picked. And before, security could rally around, they've actually moved. So we also need to look at the security around it. We don't have a lot of, and we don't even expect that we'll put the Navy to secure every point and junction. It will cost us so much.
Yeah.
So there's a big, gap between that, and that's the reason why a lot of us are still not using the waterways.
Stanley Ikechukwu, fantastic reports. Thank you so much for joining. In fact, I even printed it out, so I do encourage everybody to go and download this report from SBM. Great report on the roads. Head of Operations at SBM Intelligence. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.